Are you looking to buy a laser? Then this might be it. I'm going to try it out and see what it can actually do, and in the end I'll give you my final thoughts. So full disclosure, Atomstack contacted me and asked me if I was willing to try this out. But they aren't paying me and I can say whatever I want. Like most lasers, it comes well packed in a pretty small box, and the assembly was really easy and quick compared to other diode lasers. So this diode laser is supposed to have an output of a whopping 10 watts. What they're doing to achieve the 10 watts is that it's actually two 5-watt lasers combined. One is going down and the other one is going from the side, and it's mirrored and joins the first one. That way they can achieve a 10-watt output. Like I've said before, the downside of diode lasers are many. They are quite dangerous since they can easily cause a fire, and also they release some nasty fumes since there is no exhaust. There are some safety features though. It has this protective glass that is supposed to be flame retardant. It also has this built-in gyroscope, so when you tilt the machine it stops. But don't do that. It doesn't come with protective glasses, and that is because this panoramic glass on the laser unit is supposed to be so good that you actually don't need to wear any protective goggles. Me myself, I'm better safe than sorry, so I'm using them, and they are around $15 on Amazon. It also comes with this metal sheet, and that is to prevent the material beneath the laser from getting burned. But with the safety out of the way, let's look at some of the features. It has an engrave area of 410 by 400 millimeters. The work surface is actually too big in many cases, since this machine can be lifted and put on top of whatever you're engraving, but it's nice to have the feature to be able to do large engravings. The wireframe is made of aluminium, and it comes with this box with an emergency button, an on and off button, and a reset button. And it also has this UI controller for offline use. So you can basically load your files on a micro SD card and have the laser do its work from this controller. And that might actually come in handy if you have a computer that can't be moved around. And in the package they do actually supply you with a USB stick and a micro SD card. It does, however, seem like an extra addition that isn't necessary. And depending on how much it would affect the price, they could have made that one an accessory. But then again, I'm not sure anyone would buy it. What it does also offer is Wi-Fi. So you can actually connect this to your network, but I don't really see the purpose for it right now because they don't have an app for the machine as of now, but you could say that it's future-proof. The laser component itself has this knob for adjusting the height, and to set the focus for the laser, you simply place the piece of acrylic on top of your engraved piece and lower the laser unit until it hits. That way you don't have to bother with setting the focus with a knob. So let's try it out. To test this out, I'm going to start by cutting 6mm plywood. I'll set the speed to 1000 millimeters a minute to prevent charring as much as possible. As you can see, it didn't cut all the way through, and I did 15 passes at 1000 millimeters a minute. And there is of course some charring, so it can cut through it, it can cut even thicker wood, but I wouldn't say it's ideal. And I also tried this walnut, which is 14 millimeters thick, and yeah, it cuts right through in multiple passes, but there's a lot of charring, and yeah, it can cut wood, but I wouldn't say get this laser if you're into cutting wood. Now let's try 3mm plywood instead. For images, the details are just perfect. Now on the website, Atomstack has their own document with the preferred cut and engrave settings, and you can look at that and start there and adjust the settings after your needs. So here are my final thoughts. I've been using a couple of different diode lasers by now, and they are getting stronger. Now with the 10 watt, it's actually well equipped to do some actual cutting. But still, what I tend to use mine for is actually engraving stuff. The one thing this one does that other diode lasers I've tried doesn't do is actually engrave metal. So this is a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Let's try to engrave it. And it is actually engraved, not just marked and the quality of the engrave is really super nice, and I only did one pass, so yeah, hooray for metal engravings. If you're looking for a laser to be able to cut wood, I would actually look into buying a CO2 laser instead. And now that these diode lasers are close to $600, you can actually get a CO2 laser for the same price. Now the downside of the CO2 lasers is that they aren't as movable as this one. And you're also bound to use the work area of the machine. With the diode laser, you can put it on top of whatever you're engraving and you're good to go. But if you're a hobbyist like me, this can cut wood, it can cut leather, it can certainly engrave with great accuracy. If you're looking for a diode laser with a strong laser unit and a good build quality, this is certainly something to go with. Alright, that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. The way through in all of... Hey, gumman. Now the downside of portable... Now the downside of CO2 lasers... Now the downside of CO2 lasers... Now the downside of CO2 lasers...